The neighborhood boy drew a map. Police followed it to a shallow grave. The boy's hand trembled as he pressed the crayon against the paper. He wasn't more than 8 years old, a quiet child with dark eyes that always seemed to be watching. That afternoon, while his mother spoke with neighbors outside, he sat cross-legged on the porch, sketching shapes that didn't look like houses or cars or trees. When his mother finally leaned down to see, she froze. It was a map. A crude, shaky outline of their neighborhood. The row of old oaks. The little creek that cut through the woods. And then in the very back corner, a giant red X. At first, she laughed nervously. "Sweetheart, what's this?" The boy didn't answer. He just looked up at her with those wide, unblinking eyes and whispered, "That's where she sleeps." His mother's smile faltered. "Who?" But he had already returned to coloring, pressing the red crayon harder until the paper nearly tore. That night, unsettled, she showed the drawing to her husband. He shrugged. Kids imagine things all the time. Still, she couldn't shake the way her son had said it, the deliberate certainty in his voice. The next day, she tucked the paper into her purse. Something about it felt heavier than just a child's doodle. When she finally brought the drawing to the local police station, the officer on duty raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, are you saying your son found something?" "I don't know what I'm saying," she admitted. "But I know what he told me. He said that's where she sleeps. I can't explain why, but I believe him." Reluctantly, the police sent 2 detectives to walk the wooded area behind the neighborhood. Hours passed. Nothing but silence and leaves crunching under their boots. Then one of them called out. Near the base of an old oak, where the boy had marked the red X, the ground looked disturbed, softer, darker than the rest. They started to dig. What they unearthed sent shockwaves through the entire town. A shallow grave, and inside it, the remains of a young woman who had been missing for nearly 2 years. News spread quickly. The missing woman, Anna, had been a college student last seen walking home from her job at a cafe. Her disappearance had haunted the community. Now, she had been found, not by detectives, not by search parties, but by an 8-year-old boy with a crayon. Neighbors whispered. Reporters swarmed. Everyone wanted to know the same thing. How did he know? His parents kept him inside, shielding him from the cameras and questions. But behind closed doors, his mother asked him again and again. "Sweetheart, did someone tell you? Did you see something?" The boy shook his head. His voice was so quiet she almost didn't hear him. "She told me herself." Detectives pressed him gently, worried about trauma, about someone influencing him. But his story never changed. He said a girl came to his window at night. She didn't make noise, didn't move her lips, but he could hear her voice in his head. She told him she was cold. She told him she was waiting. She told him to draw the map. The boy didn't even know her name, but when shown a photo of Anna, his small finger immediately pointed. "That's her." The officers exchanged glances. It didn't make sense. It couldn't make sense. But the grave in the woods was undeniable. While investigators combed the scene for evidence, something else emerged. Near the shallow grave, buried in leaves, they found a bracelet, broken, with a single charm still attached. Anna's parents confirmed it had belonged to her. But more chilling was what the forensics team uncovered: strands of hair, fragments of rope, and footprints leading away from the site toward another yard in the very same neighborhood. A neighbor. The man had lived there for years, quiet, polite, always offering to help mow lawns or fix fences. No one had ever suspected him. When police searched his shed, they found a box. Inside, photographs of Anna, her missing backpack, and items belonging to other girls reported missing in nearby towns. The boy hadn't just led them to a grave. He had exposed a predator hiding in plain sight. The man was arrested, charged not only with Anna's murder but linked to several disappearances across the county. Families who had been waiting years for answers finally had them. But one question remained unanswered. How did the boy know? Some said he was highly observant, that maybe he had seen or overheard something and his young mind translated it into drawings and whispers. Others believed it was something far stranger, that Anna herself had reached out to him when no one else could hear. His mother never stopped wondering. At night, When she tucked him into bed, she sometimes caught him staring at the window, as if listening. When she asked what he was thinking, his reply always made her shiver. She says there are more. Months later, after the trial, after the headlines faded, the boy picked up his crayons again. His mother watched him draw in silence. This time, it wasn't their neighborhood. It was a different place, streets and buildings she didn't recognize. In the corner of the page, another red X. And underneath it, in careful block letters, he had written, "She's waiting,